Hey guys, welcome back to SkyFactory 3 with Haley. Hey, that's me. We last left off, we had just started to get into the Botania part of the book. And as you can see behind me, I brought in some storage drawers just to store in all of the different flowers and petals. I should have, think of one of each right now, including the white flower. I don't have a black flower, but we'll get that as we need to. But as you can see, let me go ahead and swap around here so you can check in the net. As you can see, I have all the colors of the flowers and I have all of the petals. I've been doing a little bit of work in between episodes, and I found a little trick that I did not know or didn't show you last episode. That remember when I set down one of the petals, it made a little sparkly, but it wasn't showing it. Well, if you actually take some of our lovely chicken poop, let me grab some of that. Oh, is our thinking full of there? Okay. Anyway, if you put the chicken poop on it, it treats it like bone meal and it gives you a tall mystical flower. And if you actually use your shears, which I don't have any on me right now, go grab that. I am so prepared. I'm sorry. Let me just grab some shears here real quick, which I should have. Oh my gosh, there we go. The shears. And if you use the shears on the tall flower, let's see. So I'm going to chop that down. So I have a tall flower, and I can turn that tall flower into 4 mystical petals. So that's how I was able to expand these out. So that's going to be very handy, knowing that once you get one petal, you can turn that one petal into a tall flower, turn that tall flower back into 4 petals, turn those 4 petals into 4 tall flowers, and you get 16 petals, and so on and so on. So once you get one flower, you pretty much are set in that color that you need. But we're not going to look at Botania in this episode. I'm actually going to talk about something else. We left off last time with our little farmer here going with our flowers. And as you can see, let me put this stuff away. We have over 141 stacks of Inferium Essence. That's a lot of essence, but I have learned something this past week that I could have actually had a lot more. So, you remember our growth crystals we talked about? Apparently, I have used those wrong. Well, not necessarily wrong, but for what the level 1 growth crystal is, it has to work at 1 level below the plant, meaning the level of the dirt, or up to 3 levels above. And it was actually really hard to find this information, so I'm hoping that anyone watching this video finds it useful. And I'm actually not sure if I'm 100% correct, but I'm going to share what I have actually learned. So the growth crystals, they work in a 11 by 11 area, and what that means is if I set a growth crystal here, I'm just going to set it right here for right now. Just pop that there. This growth crystal is actually going to work on 5 out to the side, 5 out each side, and 5 out each side, north, south, east, and west, essentially. And it does stack. So the level 1 growth crystal, because there's 2 types of growth crystals. The tier 1 does 11 by 11. The tier 2, which takes a lot more that we don't have right now, the greenhouse glass, the fertilized dirt, and the growth accelerators, they work in a 21 by 21. So meaning they'll go out twice as much. So if the tier 1 goes out 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the tier 2 will go out 10 in each direction. Like I said, they do stack, but the tier 1 crystal only works on 1 level below the plants. So the plant is on the first level, the dirt will be on the second level. So obviously you can't put the plant on the growth crystal, but you can substitute these blocks that I have around it. And since it works in an area, it will actually stack. Now this is where I've heard the conflicting stories about the growth crystals. Some posts say that they will stack up to 3. So 1, 2, get this third one up here, 3. And some posts say they will stack up to 5. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to be conservative. I know that the growth crystals tier 2, all the posts said they stack up to 5. So logically, I'm thinking that the tier 1 will only go up to 3 high, 3 above the plants. And it actually may be a 1 above it. But like I said, I'm going to be conservative in it and just do 3 high and 1 on each level. So if I can do this correctly. We have our source block of water here. Now, the tier 2 crystal can be used as a source block of water, and it says it will water in a 9x9 farm. So since this is a tier 1 crystal, I'm going to have to keep my water source here, but I can stack it. And I'm actually going to just stack these 3 for right now. I am going to make more. Let's see, get these 3. And I have enough to put, I'm just going to put 1 here. Make sure I keep my water source going. And put 1 on this side to keep that water source going. And have 1 more. So I know it doesn't look really that pretty right now. But that should work a lot better on our farming area here. I'm going to show you the easy way to get some of these crystal items. Let's look at the recipe again. Oops. The growth crystals. So the sea lantern was probably the most difficult part of making the growth crystals. The prismarine shards you can actually get from the atomic reconstructor. So we got our nether quartz from our soul sand. I'm actually going to make some more here. Grab some sand. And we have our little witch water set up here. Now there's a way to actually automate this, and I'll probably do that in another episode, or if I have time towards the end of this episode. But I just want to make sure everyone knows how this process actually works. So we take our soul sand and we sieve soul sand in a flint stiffened mesh. And as you can see, I've got 3 stacked here. What I haven't shown before, but of course I have learned that you can actually have multiple mesh out, and you can do a 3x3, a 5x5, and I think even a 7x7. As long as they all have the same mesh, when I actually sieve, they will all sieve at the same time. So that gave me 2 of the nether quartz. So I would just need to sieve a bunch of soul sand to get our nether quartz, and then we take our nether quartz and we're going to put it in front of this atomic reconstructor. Now I'm going to make a quick lever here because the atomic reconstructor is something that's just on right when you first set it down. Back over there. But you can actually use a lever to signal to go on and off. Oh, I have friends down here now. Let's stay upstairs. And yeah, I guess the torches went away when the water came down. So we're going to stay upstairs for now. But the atomic reconstructor, you just set it down, and you see the green button here. It's going to shoot out a laser beam, and that's going to transform anything that's in front of it. So if I just left it on, it would just constantly shoot out like that. But if I put a lever on it and turn the lever, it says on, but notice it's not shooting anything off. So that actually turns the atomic reconstructor off. If I turn it on, it should, there we go, shoots out. So I'm just going to set down these nether quartz in front of that leather beam, and it turns it into the, turn that off for a second. It turns it into the prismarine shards. Now, when I made these growth pulsars earlier, I got lucky because the second part of the recipe actually calls for the prismarine crystals, and I got those in a bag. So like I said, I got lucky on it, but I don't have any more, so I'm going to actually have to make those now. And the easiest way to make those is using a sag mill and crushing your prismarine shards. So sag mills are very easy to make. They just require a flint, a piston, and a machine chassis. The machine chassis takes a basic capacitor, 4 iron bars, or 4 iron ingots, and 4 iron bars. So let's see if we can make that fairly quickly. Let's see. Now I have the flint, and I've got plenty of iron. I've got iron bars. I'm going to need some copper to make the basic capacitor. So let's get everything made up here. So, oh, redstone. So I know it was something I was missing. 2 redstone. Let me just show you this recipe. I've done it so many times that I have it stuck in my head. Let's see, we're going to make sag mills. So the basic capacitor is 4 iron nuggets, 2 of the redstone, and 1 copper. So that gives us our basic capacitor. Then we're going to turn this into a machine chassis, which requires 4 iron bars. Back over there. 4 of the iron nuggets and the machine chassis. Then I'm going to need a piston. So let me grab our stuff that we need for our piston. Show you that recipe. Drill down. And our piston just takes 3 spruce wood, 4 pieces of cobble, an iron, and a piece of redstone. So grab that piston. And I think, hopefully that is all we need. So now I have a piston, I have a machine chassis, flint, and 4 pieces of iron. That gives us our sag mill. Alright, so let's just drop our sag mill over here next to our power. And I'm just going to set it on top of this right now. I'll clean this up later, however I want it to go. But when that's going to fill up with power, that our sag mill is basically going to crunch down these prismarine shards, and that's how we're going to get our prismarine crystals. So again, I'll work off camera and get plenty more of those so I can actually make more of our growth crystals, just so our farm can work that much faster. It seemed to be working pretty fast initially, but like I said, in the research that I've done for the growth crystals, this is the layout that it has to work. And in order to stack them, I'm just going to have to, I guess, I'm going to replace the border that I have a cobblestone. I'll replace that with the growth crystals. The next thing I wanted to do is to go ahead and set up a process to automate the creation of the next level essences. So the essence right now, like I said, I have 143 stacks. To get to the premium essence that we're going to need for later on in the quest, we're going to need a lot of that. And it's making the essences using our crystals, which I've moved everything over here. Let's see, where is that? Our infusion crystal. That is a lot manually, and I need to make some more of those. But there is a little item in here called our crafters from RF Tools. Now there's 3 different tiers, and each one requires the next level or the previous tier. So to make the first level crafter, it needs 2 crafting tables, 2 redstone torches, and a machine frame. Machine frames are just iron ingots, lapis, and gold nuggets. The next level is pretty much the same recipe, except it requires the crafter tier 2 or tier 1 and the crafter tier 2. So let's go ahead and get this made up so you can see how it actually works. So we're going to need 2. I'm going to make it up to the tier 2 for right now. So I'm going to need 4 redstone torches. I'm going to need 4 crafting tables. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think I just need lapis next. Let's grab a few of those. So if we make our first machine frame, there we go. Just need 1 machine frame. And then from the machine frame, we're going to make our crafter tier 1. And let me just show you the tier 1. These do require some form of power, but we have our power coming from our machines. And the tier 1, notice you can put 2 different recipes in here. The tier 2, you were able to put 4 different recipes. So let me just grab our materials we need for our tier 2. And drop it down so you can see it. See, we can put 4 recipes. And 4 recipes is about all we need for right now. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to set that. I need power. So let me just set it right here for right now, because I'm not going downstairs. There's bad things down there right now. Let me grab a energy conduit. And we're just going to set this on top so we'll get some power going. Down there, right here. So the way this works is we're going to set a recipe for to change anything that we're going to put in here. So I'm actually going to grab some item conduits right now. I can change these things over manually, but I have so many conduits right now, I might as well go ahead and use them. So what I'll do is right now where I have this chest that's still holding all the Inferium Essence, I'm going to replace that with the crafter. So I'll just have those swapped out, but that'll be at another time. So for right now, I'm actually going to break this connection, and I'm just going to have it extract from the farmer and insert into the crafter. And I'll go ahead and set something up where I'll help this extract. Oops, wrong way. Because I just want to pull everything out of here into our crafter here. So we're going to set it up to extract and insert. And you can see it's just pulling everything into our section here. So we're going to set up some recipes of what we want this to do with the items once they actually come into here. So we have our infusion crystal. I'm going to need a lot more of those. But let me show you the recipes. So double click to edit this recipe. So it opens up our crafting grid over here. So I wanted to tell it to make, oops, wrong spot. I want to tell it to make the next level infusion item. So that's going to create the Prudentium Essence, and it's going to, let's see, I want the result of the crafting operation to go to the output buffer, and I think that's right here, but actually I want it to stay in the input buffer. That means that once it uses all the materials, it's going to put the output right back down in our section here. So I'm just going to click apply. And you can see that the crafter is starting to make the infusion essence. Now it kept making it until it used it all the materials up. So if I actually set up to have several of those crystals in there, let me see, I think forgot how to make the infusion crystals. The infusion, probably should have just typed infusion. There it is. So the infusion crystals are 4 of the prosperity shards, 4 of the essences, and a diamond. So let's make a ton of these. Let me grab a few diamonds. Let's make 8. See, I grab a stack. I have a ton of prosperity shards coming from our seed materials, so we shouldn't run out of anything. So I have enough to make 16. I'm just going to go ahead and make 4 so we can kind of keep that going for right now. I'm going to hold back a few because we want to set it to make the next level recipe. Now, like I said, the crafter is set where you can put more than one recipe in at a time. So I'm going to let this one run through, but I'm going to go ahead and double click on the second one, and I want the next recipe to take 4 of these Prudentium essences, 2, 3, 4, and it's going to turn that into the Intermedium essences. Again, I want the results of the crafting output, or the result of the crafting operation to stay into the input buffer. So when I click apply, see, it starts making the Intermedium essences. All right, so we're going to just keep going down the list. See, the next one, we're going to make, oh, where'd it go? I'm going to use up our shard, take this Intermedium essence, and we want that to stay in the input buffer, and that turns it into the Superium essences. Get that applied. Then our last recipe, we're going to use our crystal and turn the what's it called? the Superium essences and turn it into the Supremium essence. And that'll start making that. So as you can see, oh, I did not change my output on this one. Let me go ahead and make sure that it stays in the input buffer. See, it put it into the output buffer, but I want it to stay in the input buffer. So I'm going to drag everything up here. So that's just going to run through until it uses all the essences in here. Like I said, we got 117 stacks to pull out of there. And going forward, our new our new essences is going to go directly into that. So I'm just going to let that run through. I don't know. I think I can put speed upgrades into here, something to make it go faster. But it'll run over the next few episodes, and I should have a few stacks of the premium essences. One last thing about these seeds. Imperium. There are different tiers of Imperium seeds. So if I actually wanted this to go faster, our first tier, of course, just was a Imperium essence surrounded by a seed. But if you move up to the next level tier, it takes that Imperium seed, surrounds that by Prodigium essence, that gives you a tier 2. The tier 2 gives you 2 essences per harvest instead of the 1 essence. So the further you move up in the tier, so the next one will take that one. Of course, it requires the larger essence to make it, but you get more output. So you can go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you have the Superium seeds, which requires a tier 4, you would actually get 5 of the essences per harvest. So that's another way to kind of speed up your crops. However, you do have to keep in mind that even though your crops are being sped up, you are using essence you already have. So you can see we currently have 9 Supremium essences just in using what we have. So we'll see how well we go over the next little while to record. But that's all I wanted to show you guys for this episode. This is was something that was really cool. I didn't see a lot of people use this process as well, as far as that you're converting the essences up to Supremium essences, which you're going to need, but it just leaves it fully automated. I can just set it and forget it, and I can make more of these growth crystals to make our harvest grow that much faster. So but we're going to go ahead and end the episode for now. I would like to thank you guys for watching. If you would like to support me in what I'm doing here, go ahead and click the subscribe button. Leave a comment if there are particular items you are interested in seeing in SkyFactory 3. I'm going to go down there and kill all those mobs here when we get done. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys that have been watching, leaving comments. It kind of encourages me to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm just having a blast. So until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!